Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and welcome back to part 2. Let's understand how we can extract values from the arrays through the each function and how we can animate several divisions or boxes that were created purely through JQuery. Okay, right now what I've done is I have removed a lot of code and I'm using some code, the very bare minimum, bare bone code that I've actually left on the screen for you. So you see we have the HTML5 doc type, language set to English, and metachar set to UTF-8. The title says document. The link tag ties up to the animate.css external style sheet. It's a huge library in public domain. It's free for anyone to download and use. Then we are also tying up with the JQuery library, okay, through the script tags. And there's nothing in the body of the document except opening and closing script tags. Okay. Now, if I were to save the document and if I preview it up now, we'll actually see nothing on the screen as expected. Okay, let's go back. Now I'm gonna bring in the code that I've lost. Okay, first things first. All I'm doing is bringing in the h2 tag with the class of label, and all that says is each side in pixels is a colon. That's it. That's all it says. Okay. Thereafter, I bring in another division with the class of wrapper in the body of the document. After which I push in internal or in-house styles for a division, rather for the class animated. Now there's no element on the page which is having this class animated, but we'll soon generate one through JQuery. So this class animated says that the float should be left, the margin should on the right hand side should be 10 pixels, the text align should be center, the font size should be 150, and there should be some subtle box shadow. But we don't have any element with the class animated yet, but you'll soon get it. If at this point I save the document up and if I refresh, obviously all that you will see is the h2 element which says each side in pixels is nothing. Okay, so far so good. I hope so far everything is just fine. Next guys, in the opening closing script tags right at the bottom of the page, just before the body actually ends, I declare a variable, name it array. Array is basically a mega variable, a bigger variable in which you can push in more than one value. I have 6, but you can have many more. Here I've actually pushed in the name of the effects that are available in the animate.css library in public domain, free for download for everyone. And we're going to extract these effects or classes and then we can use them in our projects. Okay. Next, I declare another variable and I call it delay. This I'm going to use with the SetTimeout function. Even if at this point I were to save the document and refresh, I wouldn't see much. Next, guys, I'm going to run the each function to iterate over each item in the array. I'm going to go through or extract each item of the array. Let's see how I do that. What's the syntax? The syntax is this, guys. So we have the $sign. You can replace it with JQuery, the word JQuery. Dot each function and then the name of the array. Function. This is the syntax, guys. The index is the index. This is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an array has an index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for its values. So see these two arguments, index and value. These values correspond to bounce in, left, zoom in, rubber band, flip, hinge, and this index corresponds to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to run a function which will use the index and the values. The index being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the values being bounce in, left, zoom in, rubber band. Okay, so this is the way you actually use the each method and apply it to the array and then extract the values. So here you can actually see end of the each function, right? Next, what I'm doing is I am running a function inside a function. So basically a nested function. So inside the each function, I'm nesting a SetTimeout function. Okay. Next, I generate a number between 150 and 200 and then turn it into a string. How do you do that? You declare a variable, obviously, where you're going to save it. And then on the math.random method, which generates a number between 0 and 1, multiply with 51, then add 150 and then pass it. This ensures that you get a number between 150 and 200, and it's an integer. It's a whole number, not a fraction. Okay. Next, I declare yet another variable. I call it effect, and in this effect variable I save a division with the class of animated. Since we do not have a division with the class of animated, it will get generated. When you create a division with the class of anything, it's not present, you can actually generate it, and we'll soon see how we're going to generate it. Okay, even if at this point I were to save the document and if I were to refresh, I wouldn't see much, because this division has just been created but it's not been pushed onto the page. And let's see how we can actually push it onto the page. We'll see it soon. It's just there, it's in the memory, but it's not there on the page. Okay, next, now to this division effect through the CSS method, you can actually see I'm attaching CSS properties to the div with the class animated. I'm saying that the background color should be orange, the width should be dimension. That dimension is the same as a random number generated between 150 and 200. The height should also be the same dimension, and the line height should also be the same dimension. So dimension plus px means I'm just adding pixels to the random number between 150 and 200. Okay. When you keep the line height the same as the height, then whatever you write inside the division centers up vertically or top bottom. That is the reason why I'm actually doing it. Okay. If I save the document up, Control S, go back, nothing. That's because although the division with the class of animated has been generated in the memory, it has not been pushed onto the page yet. Next, guys, I'm pushing the division with the class animated inside the div wrapper. So how do you do that? I'm saying effect.append to wrapper. Okay, so I'm appending something, adding something. In addition to the already present wrapper, I'm adding something. What is that? Effect. What is effect? It's actually a division with a class of animated. I'm pushing it inside the wrapper. What's the wrapper? This is the wrapper. Okay, so you have a wrapper and you're appending to it something else. So at this point, if I were to save the document and if I were to go back and refresh, you can actually see, I'll do it again. You can actually see that we have 6 boxes now generated. That's because one for each value, bounce in, left, zoom. So we have 6 values out here and 6 boxes got created because all of these 6, each function ran 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many times as the values are present. Okay, so it ran 6 times, it created 6 divisions. There you go. But the dimensions, the width and the height are different every time. So effect, which is the newly generated division of the class of animated, gets appended to wrapper, and it happens 6 times because we are running the each function on the array. Array has 6 values. It runs 6 iterates 6 times. Iterates from this value to 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 this value. Okay, next. Now what I'm saying is effect, which is basically the same as the newly generated division with the class of animated, we are adding the class value. Now the value, the first time it's bounce in, then bounce in left, the zoom in. So basically we are adding the classes to the different divisions that were just generated purely through JQuery, and this value is going to be different every time. Let's see the result of this. Do you see that? But they are getting generated all at the same time. Okay, so 6 boxes or 6 divisions getting created with the class of animated, but different classes have been applied to them, or different effects have been applied to them by procuring the different values from the array bounce in left, which are actually animations present in animate.css huge library. Okay, next I am displaying the CSS property values and appending it to the element with the class label. What has a class label? H2. Appending the dimension, which is the width and the height, plus a space. Let's see how it actually affects the whole equation. So this time not only are these divisions of the boxes generated, we also get to see their sides in pixels. Next, okay, at the same time, guys, a SetTimeout function got pushed in out here. End of SetTimeout function. Okay, I failed to notice that. A SetTimeout fires after a delay, and the delay, if you remember, had been set to 1000. Okay. Now, not only that, I'm also appending to the effect, which is the division of the class of animated, the value, which is the value of the array 1 by 1 plus a space. Let's save it and see how this affects. Now we have the SetTimeout function also firing. That's the reason why. Okay, although the SetTimeout function is firing, but it fires after a delay of 1000. So it waits for a second and then it just fires. Okay, but then if I say delay plus is equal to 1000, now what will happen is, now the SetTimeout function will fire with an increment of 1000 every time. So the first box will be generated at 1000, then 2000, then 3000, so on and so forth. Now the different boxes will appear at a different point in time. Okay, so let's save it and let's refresh. So now the SetTimeout function fires, but every time it fires, there's an increment in the delay, which means that the boxes appear one after the other. They also show up each side dimension out here and the effect that's being used out here. Since we had set the text align to center, it aligns itself horizontally perfectly in the center, and since we had used the line height equal to the height or equal to the side, When you do that, you'll get it in the center vertically as well. Okay, and that's it. That's what the project is all about. Okay, so you can see that I've left a lot of comments after functions, after activities, or before the activities. Okay, so the activity out here is generating a random number between 150 and 200. I've left a comment out here. Here we use the each function to iterate over each item in the array. I've left a comment out here. Okay, so these comments are gonna help you. So guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this code, I'm gonna use codepen.io. It's an online editor. I'm gonna push the code there. I'm gonna generate a URL. That URL I'm gonna push in the description of the page. You can click on that URL. You can reach codepen.io. You can reach my pen. Pen is the same as document, my file. You can check it there. You can study it there. I know that this, although I've tried to make it, try to break it, try to make it simpler for you, but still, it's a tough nut, isn't it? Not everybody can actually crack a walnut with their bare teeth. So you may have to browse through the code several times before you can assimilate it, before you can absorb it. That's the reason why I'm leaving a link in the description down below. It may not happen immediately after the tutorial, but it may take some time, but it'll eventually happen after a few hours or few days. So guys, I hope you found this information useful. Now you know how to go through different values of an array, how to loop through the different values of an array, how easy it is actually. It's all about practice, guys. Practice makes perfect. I've seen this in my life so many times. You do it half a dozen times, a dozen times, and the next time you do it, it is so simple. It's all about practice, practice, practice. So guys, I hope you found this information useful. You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.